Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Mend Your Money Stories event. It's so great to have you here on this Monday afternoon and morning to all of our West Coasters tuning in. Mend Your Money Stories. This is a big topic for me. I'm very passionate about it. And we are going to go deep and wide over the next 4 days as we talk about not just money, but abundance and our energy around money, abundance, and we're going to unweave, put back together the generational stories that have contributed to how you relate to money and abundance in your life. All right, a little housekeeping to kick us off. I'm Sarah. I'm the founder of the Sisters Enchanted, where we have been doing work like this since 2016 and have welcomed thousands of people into our virtual classroom here at the Sisters Enchanted. I am supported by a lovely, lovely team. You're going to hear from me a lot this week, but we have a teaching team here and a beautiful community. So many familiar faces that I see here in the comments today. And I know that in the comments, we have Kelly here. She teaches with me in a program called Holistic Witchery, which really is why we're hosting this event. We teach 3 units of study in Holistic Witchery, and our Conjuring Abundance unit is kicking off in June. So this program is brought to you by Holistic Witchery. We've got Kelly in here. We've got Patty, I see in the comments, who is a coach in our mastermind program and also supports our other programming. I believe we probably have Anna and Jenna here in the comments. Anna is my real life sister. She teaches here and is the head of our student fulfillment. Jenna, I see, just popped in here. Jenna is our mermaid inbox fairy. So we like to say if you email in, Jenna will swim up to the shore and help you out. Who else? We might have Naomi here in the comments, and I see tons of longtime community members here today. So, and as I said, I'm Sarah. I'm the founder of the Sisters Enchanted. I'm going to kick us off with a little story time, as I like to do in these events. And I'm going to let Team TSE handle the comments. So I'm going to focus on what I'm doing. And you will always have support there in those comments from Team TSE if you need it. But I'm going to focus on what I am here to do. Our number one ask of you today is to lead with kindness. It's actually our only ask of you today. Remember that when you're communicating in the comments, that you don't have tone of voice, body language, facial expressions. You don't know each other. You don't know how a person was raised, their life experiences. Keep that in mind when you're communicating with each other. The same as you communicate with us here at Team TSE. We always assume everybody's doing their best. Please make that same assumption about your fellow peers in the comments and in your email interactions with us. And lead with kindness with yourself. It's so easy to get down on yourself and say, I should know better. I should be farther. It shouldn't be like this. Look at this person who has it all together. Newsflash, nobody has it all together. Not one single person. And lead with kindness when you're talking to yourself. Remember, we are a small business and we love hosting these free classes. So if you're new to us here, we welcome you in with wide, loving arms, and we will support you just as we would support people who have paid to be in our other programs. But do know we are a small business and it does cost us money to host these events, which is why we will tell you about our Holistic Witchery program here and there along the way. Maybe you want to join it, maybe you don't. No hard feelings either way. I know you'll get something great out of the Mend Your Money Stories event between now and Thursday. So hang along for the ride. All right, I've been talking so much this morning. I got to catch my breath. Let's do a little story. I asked our community members, some of you included who responded, to tell me how you felt about the word money. And the highest response was anxiety. That is what most people said. But then I asked about abundance. And when I asked about the word abundance, folks shared with me that they felt like it was cozy, it was love, and it was support, where money was hard work, hard to get, hard to manage. Like you have to be smart and do math. But abundance was like cozy, family, unconditional, overflow, right? Wealth. And when I asked about wealth, people were like, yes, Let me have wealth. I want the wealth. Well, what's so interesting to me, we love abundance. We love the word wealth, but money is part of all of that. And we feel really shitty about money. We feel really shitty about money. So there's an incongruence there. There's an incongruence there. Now, what we do here at the Sisters Enchanted is we mix the metaphysical, the witchy realm of possibility and astrology and tarot with the practical. I have my master's degree in education, and so I know how the human brain works. I specialize in working with people with learning differences, and I also know that how you perceive yourself in the world will impact your ability to receive in this world. And we mesh these two things together in a really brilliant way. And it was so striking to me, though, to see in real time what I already knew to be true, the incongruence between how we feel about money and how we feel about abundance and how we feel about the word wealth, right? So I'm going to show you this jar here. It's pretty heavy. So give me a second to pick it up, make sure I don't get hurt or break it. This jar of pennies is, I don't know how many pennies are in here. It is old. I don't know where the jar came from. It's so heavy, but it is truly chock full of pennies. This jar, my sister Anna and I, we were raised by a single mom. She was divorced twice before I was 12. We had a tumultuous childhood, if you'd like to use that word for it, tumultuous. And the one long-standing, always consistent thing in my life was my grandparents and the house that they lived in. We lived with them for a year as kids and would frequent going back to their house over the years, even though we moved around a lot, had a lot of financial distress in our childhood, right? My grandparents were always there. Now, you'll hear more about them as the days go on. I'm sure I'll share more stories. But this penny jar was always at their house. And every summer, Anna and I would go see them. They live in Ohio. We live in Connecticut. And we would sort through the jar and pull out all of the silver coins. So my grandmother would put change in this jar just all year round. And every summer, she'd get those little wrappers and we'd pull out all the silver money. We'd fill the wrappers up, take it to the bank, and we'd get, I don't know, a couple bucks, which to Anna and I as kids was like gold. We had a couple bucks. We could do whatever we wanted with it. Anybody here from Maine? You say you got a couple of bucks? I can't say it right. My husband does a really good Maine accent. Anyway, I digress. So this jar of pennies, what would be left was the pennies. And this jar now, I'm pretty sure, is entirely filled only with pennies. And it sits in my living room. Now, I brought this as my show and tell item today to talk to you about this incongruence we have between money and abundance, the cozy feelings that abundance gives us versus the harsh, terrible, terrifying, anxiety-inducing feelings that the word money gives us. I cannot tell you what I bought with those coins for probably 10 summers of my life. I have no idea what I spent that money on. But I can look at this jar of pennies that is, who wants all these pennies now? Nobody, right? It looks pretty cool though. This old jar. This jar, though, reeks of abundance of love, abundance of safety and security, abundance of memories. The house that was very much once my home had to be sold 2 years ago when I moved my grandparents to live near me. We no longer have the house, but I have the jar of pennies. This is abundance. But the money that we attach all of this hardship to, that we put so much of our weight in, so what it means about us to have money, to have debt, to not have money. If we have money, we shouldn't tell people we have money. If we don't tell people, we shouldn't tell people we don't have money. We definitely shouldn't be in debt, but we should invest in ourselves. And it's all very confusing and downright anxiety inducing. I don't know what I did with all those coins all those years. I don't know what I bought. I don't know what happened. I don't remember after I wrapped them up, but I do know that this here is abundance. This is the memory of abundance. So how do we take the abundance feelings and apply it to money? And that's what we are on. I got this over here. It's so heavy. That is what we are on a mission to do over these next few days, is help you shift the anxiety you feel around money to the warm and cozy feelings you associate with abundance. Now, one of the very first things we teach here to people who come through our doors, particularly in our Holistic Witchery program, is how to work with the moon. Why to work with the moon? Many of you might already know that. Many of you have heard about working with the new moon and the full moon, and you've heard about releasing at a full moon and setting your intentions at a new moon. This is something that's wide and popular, and you hear about it all the time in the world that we live in today. We ask you always to come back to yourself and set the intention as to how you want to feel. How do you want to feel? And that is very lunar based. It's very emotional. So when it comes to money, and I ask you, how do you want to feel about money? You're not going to say anxiety. Nobody wants to feel anxiety around money. You want to feel abundant. You want to feel overflowing. You want to feel joyful. You want to feel secure. Maybe you want to feel at peace, maybe harmonious. Maybe you want to feel indifferent. Maybe you want to feel unbothered by money. You want to feel some way. And one of those words is definitely not anxious. I can promise you that one of those words is definitely not anxious. So money, as much as it's a kind of a beast, right? We think of money and we think of all the bad things people do with money. We think about all the times we lost money. The matter of fact is that money is embedded in every single element of our life. Every single element. You have to pay in the world that we live in. You pay for food, you pay for experiences, you pay for clothes, you pay for a roof over your head. You trade your time for money. You trade your value in what you put out into the world for money. We are interacting and engaging with money constantly. Coming to a sense that money doesn't have power over us and that how we relate to money and sidestep the anxiousness, that's how we can start to create this relationship with money that doesn't feel so constrictive and it doesn't bleed into every other element of your life. If you're having relationship trouble and you don't feel good about money, that's going to impact that. If you're having trouble with your parents, aging relatives, a pet, a neighbor, and you're feeling icky about money, it's going to impact that. If you're a parent and you have kids to take care of, and they're like really on your last nerve and you get a bill in the mail, that's going to make you on your last nerve even more with your kids. So we do all of this inner work. We do shadow work. We might make crystal grids, work with the new moon and the full moon. But as long as we are feeling so downright tied to money and like it has this gray cloud hanging over us, all of that other stuff is still going to be impacted by the energy you hold around money. Hands down, bottom line. It always will be. And you don't need to suddenly win $1 million to be happy and not feel anxious about money. You can win $1 million and feel very anxious about money because suddenly you don't know how to pay taxes. Suddenly everybody has their hand out to you. Suddenly you think you need to hide and you're not sure what to do. And now you're more anxious about money than you ever were before. This isn't about me saying to you today, oh, like we all just need more money. Yes, we will all want more money. But we can feel less anxious about money with the financial situation we have, which will make us feel better in every other area of our life, which will then allow that abundance feeling to amplify, in turn, allowing us to actually receive more money because we're not so stressed out about trying to chase it down to begin with. We're not so stressed out about trying to chase it down to begin with. All right, we're going to talk about the 3 lower chakras today. The chakras are a ancient Indian energetic system. First, you can find the first evidence of the mention of the chakras in the Vedas, which is an ancient Indian text, one of the oldest in existence written material. The chakras, as we teach them here today, they are very westernized, very metaphysical in nature. And much of these associations do not necessarily come from the Vedas or the ancient Indian way of belief systems. If you've heard of Kundalini yoga, some will also say that's chakra yoga. And it's really about the movement of energy. It's about the embodiment, the representation of energy. So the 3 lower chakras, they are the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus. Your root chakra, if you're sitting down, you are sitting on it, essentially. You can connect to that energy by touching the lowest part of your pelvis. Putting your hands on your thighs is another great way to do that, your tailbone. But that's your root chakra. These are energetic points within your spiritual body. So of course you can't see them on you. There's not like, you don't have a button that says this is where it is. That would be handy, but alas, we're not trolls with with glittery points showing us where they are. Your sacral chakra, that's at your lower belly area outside of your reproductive organs. Your solar plexus is right under your sternum, so right under your breast line. I am simplifying this for this class today. There's a ton of information. We can go so deep just on what they are. But for today's purpose, that's what you need to know. Your 3 lower chakras. These 3 lower chakras, they impact how we move through the physical world. Money. Money is very much of our physical world. Money, passion, power, creation, how we perceive our relationship to things, to the people around us, opportunities, career, house, home, the physical world, very much connected to our lower 3 energy centers. So very key to what it is that we are talking about here this week. Now, your lower energy center, your lowest, the root chakra, again, that's where you'd be sitting. If you're sitting right now, you're sitting on it. That is our energy center that holds the stories of childhood stuff. And it's all that childhood stuff that really dictates how safe and secure you feel with material goods as an adult. So for an example, now this is not therapy, so make sure to separate that out of your mind. If you're like, oh, this is like going to my therapist, this is different from therapy. But if as a child, you, like I didn't have money and everybody always fought over money and it was always hard and it was like, oh, we never have enough. There's never enough. Let's all argue about it, right? That's going to impact how you relate to money as an adult. Versus, though, on the other end of the spectrum, if you grew up in a household where there was plenty of money, but maybe no one taught you how to manage money. Maybe money was never an issue, but it was like something we don't talk about. It's like, shh, we don't discuss it. So then you became an adult and you really are like, I have no idea how to handle money, even though I grew up with money. Or maybe in the case of my grandfather, he's my step grandfather, and he grew up in a very wealthy family, and he had inheritance money, but he was raised to hoard his money, like really hold on to it. And so now I see my 2 aging grandparents upwards of 90, who my grandmother has tons of resentment that they never did anything, they didn't experience the world, they just stayed home all the time. And she's so mad about it, right? So then there's also this area of like having money, but hoarding it and not living and not enjoying. So wherever you are on there as a child, having money, not having money, we all interacted with people who were interacting with money. And somewhere along the line, that embedded into our energy something about money. And a really good place to start looking at that is that root energy center. How secure do you feel in money? And how secure do you feel in abundance or overflow, having extra? How secure do you feel in having extra? Now, that is a really big question to marinate on. And I could probably just end it right there and just like let you think about that. But think about what it feels like to have extra. How you might have extra food that gets thrown away and then you feel bad about it. How you might have extra weight on your body and you're told that's bad and you feel bad about it. How when you have extra money, it feels like something comes along and you have to spend it. How when you have extra money, everyone looks to you to pay for everything, right? Having extra, we all want to feel overflow. We want to have extra, but we associate so much negative with this idea of overflow and extra that it can be hard to feel comfortable and secure in having extra. Another good question to ask here is, what do you feel like when you think of what it means to be wealthy based on your upbringing? So when you think about your upbringing, and you think of wealthy people, what does that say to you? How does that feel in your energy? How does that relate to your body and your system when it comes to feeling comfortable and not anxious about money? So did you ever feel like it was bad to be wealthy, or like that was the dream to be wealthy, or like, oh, well, these are the wealthy people, so we have to be a certain way around them? Is there some energetic piece of you that relates a certain way to the perception of wealth also? So this all lives in that root chakra energy. And the first thing that you can do here is just start to get comfortable with knowing this. there's really no action you need to take at this moment. We are going to bring up our worksheets by the end here, and I'm going to walk you through some activities. But right now, just the awareness, like what is going on in your mind right now to think, oh my gosh, yeah, this stuff, these stories, these experiences. When I think of what it's like to be wealthy, my grandparents, they did have some very wealthy friends. And it was always like, sit with your legs crossed, wear the nice dress, like Mrs. and Mr. and please and thank you and handshakes and, napkin in the lap and be like this picture of perfection. So what if I'm not perfect? What if I don't feel perfect? Does that mean I can't be wealthy? So start to really reconcile the stories you might hold in your root energy center around wealth. All right, the next one we're talking about here today is the sacral energy center. Now, my objective here to talking to you in this short period of time that we're together, not knowing many of you as strangers here in our community, new to us, welcome in. My objective is to just get the fire burning in you. My objective is not for you to walk away and memorize all of this or to say like, oh yeah, the root chakra means this, the sacral means this. No, my objective, plain as day, is for you to walk away from here and be like, hot damn. I am going to be a wealthy, witchy woman, and it's going to be amazing, and I'm going to feel so abundant. That is my objective for you, not for you to memorize any of this. You can watch the replay, so it's all good. Your sacral energy center, that's at your lower belly area. Now, this is where we hold guilt over spending. It's where we hold guilt over debt in particular. This is also where our power, some of our power sits, some of that's in our solar plexus also, but our power in the world, how we perceive the word power and money and power together, creation energy, sex, power, money, big sacral chakra sort of stuff here, lusty, creation, putting something out in the world and receiving from what you put out into the world, just showing up in the world and then receiving. That is like being in your power to know that you can just receive by being like the awesome person you were born to be. That's all that sacral energy. So what happens with our sacral energy center and these thoughts of money and money anxiousness is the guilt specifically around spending and around debt. So we have, is there anybody here who was not taught that debt was bad? Some of you might have been taught that lesson, and in which case, high five to the people who taught you that debt is not necessarily a bad thing. Not all debt is created equal. I am not a financial advisor, so let's get that clear. But having debt is not this like curse that the world has told you that it is. I've got two quick stories to tell you about debt and power and how it relates to abundance and these cozy feelings and anxiousness. So after my husband and I got married, we were married for just a couple weeks, and my husband had been laid off shortly before we got married, and he still was not working at this point in time. And I was working for the Girl Scouts as a program director at a Girl Scout summer camp, making just a few bucks above minimum wage with my master's degree. So there was no money to be had. We were like broke as a joke. And we had $2,000 to our name, $2,000 to our name. So my husband calls me. I'm at work and he calls, I'm like not supposed to answer my phone. He calls me and he calls me again. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to answer it. Something's wrong, So I answered my cell phone and he asked me if I bought something for $2,000. It was like $1,900, like just under $2,000, right? Because we had $2,000 almost to the dollar. And I was like, no, why? And he says, there's a hold on our bank account. It was like our debit card, He says, there's a hold on the account. I'm like, well, call the bank, like what is going on? My husband had a debt from like 6 years prior that I didn't know about, a credit card debt that he had not paid. And when that money went into that account, it was subpoenaed and the bank took our last $2,000 to pay his credit card debt that I did not know about. Now, I tell you this story because I want you to get a full understanding of who is talking to you here today. I am not talking to you as a person who has some kind of like secret cash money flow that I'm just not telling you about. I am a person who's been broke. I've had $120,000 in medical debt. I've had my last $2,000 subpoenaed out of my bank account because of my husband, my new husband, who did not tell me his secrets from before we were married, right? Like I have been there. I get it. I feel you. I know you. I am you. And yet I can also sit here today and tell you that not all debt is bad. Not all debt is bad. I'm going to tell you another story, and we're going to talk more about the Sacral Energy Center. This is about a woman I know named Laura. She's a real person. I know her personally. And she was a single mom who had escaped from an abusive marriage and was like in court trying to get child support. And this dude was like, he was a not good guy. Like, he was not being helpful. And it was a really cruddy situation. So she did have her house, and she was looking to get into vacation property rentals. That's what she wanted to do. She didn't have any extra money, no secret funding. She took out a mortgage on her house and took a bet on a property that she found. And she bought it and watched YouTube videos, and she made it like just good enough that she could rent it out. She then took that she did as proof that she could do it. She then went to two wealthy men in her town that she did not know. She actually she looked up donors to the town library to see who had recently donated significant money to the library, because there had been like a fundraiser thing. And she found two people who had donated extreme amounts of money. So she contacted them both, and she set a meeting with them. And she said, this is what I did on my own. And this is how much profit I was able to make very quickly doing this on my own with no prior knowledge, my own two hands. Will you personally lend me the money to buy another vacation property? Because I can't get a loan from the bank because I've already mortgaged my house and I don't have any other money. But she went to them with the power, with the passion, with the proof of creation. And wouldn't you know, those two men cut her the money to buy another property. She paid them back and then mortgaged that house to buy the next one. The rest is history. Laura is a damn millionaire. And it was not because of a lucky break. I tell you these two stories in relation to the Sacral Energy Center because there's many things that could have happened. But when it comes to your sacral energy, it's about guilt on the shadow end, and it's about power and creation on the light end. So when you feel like you've done something bad, when you feel like you've done something wrong, right, you can let that steal your power. I could have let it steal my power, that I was making barely minimum wage with a master's degree, with a husband who was laid off, who had a secret that lost me all my last dollars, right? Like, that I was suffering. And then I could have just gone into this shame spiral of I should know better than this. That's not what I did. I did something different. Laura, who had everything stacked against her, stood in her power, her creation power, and she went to these two strangers and she brought the proof with her to say, I can do this. I have the creation energy to get it done. I believe in what I'm doing. I don't feel guilty about having mortgaged my house to do the first thing. I don't feel guilty that I have a crappy credit score and I can't get a bank loan. And so I'm coming to you older men and asking for a favor. I don't feel guilty about that. I know I can make us both money. Let's freaking go. And that's what she did by standing in her power. So your sacral energy center, like I said, it's this passion, sex, money, power sort of place. And what we will do when it comes to money, abundance, overflow, I mentioned before that we want overflow, but when we feel like we have extra, that can feel really negative. So then we sacrifice. We feel guilty and we sacrifice. We don't say, oh, I shouldn't want, like, I want more. We say, I shouldn't want more. Like Laura could have just been like, oh, I have one house. That's good enough. No, she was like, no way, Jose, we're going to get more here. I'm going to make more money. And so what we do is we feel guilty. We sacrifice ourselves and we say, I don't need extra. I don't need overflow. I don't need abundance, even though it's the very thing I said I wanted. Right. And then we cut ourselves down and we hold ourselves back. The same with it's with the sacral energy and abundance, and we think of money and we think of wealth and we think of women and money and wealth. There's so much to unpack there, so much. But when it comes to metaphysics and it comes to some of the things that you might be interested in, if you found yourself to an event hosted by me, you might be interested in tarot, you might be interested in manifesting, working with the moon, having a moon ritual. We're going to have a ritual on Thursday. when we do all of this external stuff, if we don't have the internal belief, it's just another distraction. It's just another thing we're doing to avoid the work of actually getting into life and finding the wealth and finding the power of learning how to receive. The sacral chakra is a lot about receiving. When was the last time you just like kicked back and received whatever, a compliment, like in the bedroom, mind you, that you didn't feel like out of some kind of duty or guilt that you had to like provide this experience, and you were just like, nah man, I'm going to receive this experience. It's going to be amazing. That's how we find the feeling of abundance that we all want and we all associate with this cozy, like loving feeling, and start to apply it to money. It's not necessarily about finding more money first. It's about taking how we feel good here and applying it there to change our energy, because when we change our energy, that's when we change our actions. And through those actions, we'll bring in more money. All right, our last energy center we're going to talk about today before we go and look at our worksheets is the solar plexus. Now, this is the one that is right under your sternum, under your breast line, and this is your confidence center. And this relates, when it comes to money and abundance and feeling wealthy, deeply to visibility, very deeply to visibility, which ties into that power element from the sacral energy center as well. One of the questions I asked you with the root energy center was around the type of person who's wealthy. What do you feel like? How do you feel about wealthy people? What does that do in your body? Do you feel like you have to change yourself when you're around wealthy people? Maybe you're here and you're like, nah, I'm very wealthy and I love being wealthy and I want to be more wealthy. And so then how do you feel when you look at people who are wealthier than you are? Do you feel like jealous, or do you feel like, oh, I can learn from them, I can rise to their energy and expand? Understanding how we feel around wealth, right? Well, here with your energy, your solar plexus, it's really about this visibility piece. So, who should be visible and what decides that? Who should be visible and what decides that? Should a person who's in debt up to their ears and doesn't appear to know how to manage a dollar, like I said, I've been there, so I share from experience. Is that a person who should be visible? Or should somebody else be more visible? I'm saying that weird. Visible. I've been talking so much today. Who should be visible and who decides that? What decides that? When we say my bank account does not equate to how I show up in the world, this does not determine the other. I can have no money and still show up completely, fully, authentically in all of the magic and beauty and power that I was born with, simply because I was born and I'm a human and I'm here for this and my energy says I can do it. It doesn't have to be a certain type of person that needs to be more visible than another, right? One does not equal the other. Yet we say, well, they know more. They're more of an authority because look at them. Look at what they have. Look at what they've done. They are the authority. I defer to them. Stand in your visible power. Stand in your confidence. It's through finding your confidence and finding your voice in this solar plexus energy center that you will shift your energy and look for the opportunities to have abundance in money, just like Laura did in her example, just like I've done as a person who was $20,000 in credit card debt. I had $120,000 in medical bills dumped on me with a newborn on my lap and an abscess drainage tube hanging out of my stomach for 2 weeks. And all these bills were coming into my house. And here I am today feeling abundant, feeling wealthy, feeling like I have a pretty good relationship with money. I think it could be better. We could use some more loving dates, but we're doing okay. And it's because I show up in my visibility. It's because I show up in my sacral creation energy. It's because I have rewritten what makes me feel secure in my root energy center. And I'm not relying on external people to tell me when I can be visible, when I can feel powerful. And I'm also not just relying on tools like tarot and my crystals to do it for me. Those are my support system. They aren't the thing that I'm hoping will just take the wheel and make it happen, right? So if we don't want to be seen a certain way, if Laura didn't want to be seen as somebody who had bad credit and couldn't get a bank loan, she wouldn't have gone to ask those men for the loan that turned her into a millionaire, a multi-millionaire at that. She was a multi-millionaire. That never would have happened for her. But it didn't matter to her how she was seen. What mattered was that she knew she could do it. And she went to them with all of the evidence, all of the confidence, all of the radiating solar plexus, sacral energy, root energy to tell them and to receive from them the thing that she was looking for, the thing that she was looking for. Now, in metaphysics, we would look to tools like the new moon to help us with this. We would look to even the first quarter moon. The season that we're in right now, the spring season, is a beautiful season for tending to that which we've planted. So these seeds of abundance, these ideas, right? But that without the practical is just another thing that you're doing. Now, you all know, because you live in the same world that I live in, that many of the female dominated industries, think daycare working, retail, food service, are underpaid industries. So this is why I bring up the chakras here today, because it's about our energy and our value perception. We can take, I have this beautiful pyrite here, great for money manifesting, right? Super amazing for money manifesting. I can take this pyrite and I can do my new moon ritual and my full moon ritual, and I can call in all the money in the world, and maybe I'll get like a rebate check for $100 I wasn't expecting or something like that. If I don't shift the energy in my chakra system, I will go back out into the world the same Sarah who did not have that $100 a moment ago. And that is what puts us back in these positions of under earning, like daycare workers, like food service people, like retail workers. Now, in sociology, any of you who've ever I say this like as if everybody just reads sociology books in their spare time, which I know that's just like a nerd thing that I do, but it's known as the pink ghetto in sociology. And it is this idea that these types of jobs pay less than other types of jobs that are primarily male dominated, like construction, for example. Construction is going to pay way more than a daycare worker will, or a daycare job will. And so the question becomes here, you and I are not going to go out today and change that. Like, we just aren't. I'm not going to go knock on doors on this day and like make a difference in that way. But what I can do is start to shift how I value labor, shift how I value myself. And as a collective here, we can change our energy from one that's shrinking and hiding and pulling back and like curling in on our sacral energy center and curling in on our solar plexus, and like bust it out in our energy and stand in our power and say, actually, taking care of kids is really fucking valuable to society. So is building a bridge. I mean, I want to drive over a bridge that somebody got paid well to make. Don't get me wrong. And if you're taking care of the next generation, you should be compensated accordingly for that. The thing is, and what has allowed the pink ghetto to form, we tend to say like, oh, well, yeah, the patriarchy, men, right? We can call all that out, but it's us who have to shift our energy. We have to shift our energy to say, it's such a powerful thing that I do to help in this way. It's such a powerful thing I do to problem solve for people in a retail environment. It's such a powerful thing that I do to be, what else is a female dominated industry? Like I said, retail, food service, bank tellers, all of these things. Like, you are powerful and you're impacting someone's entire day when you interact with them. So we have to make the energetic shifts from within. Nursing, Margaret. Yes. Hi, Margaret. Nursing is one. We have to shift our energy and how we show up visibly in the world and say, no, I am claiming this for myself and I'm shifting my energy. And you know what that won't do? Like I said, that won't change today. It's not going to change tomorrow. But when we start to radiate in that energy and say, yes, I can do this. Yes, I can do this. Look at these changes I make. Look how I help people. That is how we actually provide more value to the world. And it's through that value that we will then receive more income for that. If I showed up here today and was like, so it's in your root energy, and I was really poor when I was a kid, but I learned to make a budget and now I'm not. Like, that's not very valuable, right? That's pretty not life-changing. But my energy, because I've worked on my visibility, because I've worked on being passionate, because I've worked on receiving, I'm able to show up more authentically, and I'm able to say, proof in the pudding, I can help you. You got to help yourself, but I can help you get there. And I know because I believe in myself, right? And then that helps put that value out there. So what we did here today, we talked about the root energy, we talked about the sacral, we talked about the solar plexus. Let me be very clear. My intention was not for you to memorize these three things. My intention was to light the damn fire within you, to help you mend your money stories, to help you see where the tapestry of your money quilt was built, from childhood stories, what you learned about who could have money, who didn't have money, who should have money, what it means about you if you don't have money, the guilt around debt and spending that we have, the shame we feel around it. And what all of this does is it takes your energy and it constricts it. It constricts it down so that you dim your glow. And what that does is it keeps you taking action in this like tight, constricted way. This very like, I want to control my safety because nothing feels good, because everything feels bad, and I don't even want to open my mail right now. That's constricted, right? Expansive is like, oh, wow, look at this unexpected bill. I know that I can get through this. I have what it takes. I've done it before. I'm going to do it again. Like, let's go. Let's make a game of this and figure it out. This is the game of life. We're about to play it. That's expansive energy. But as women in particular, we have very much, and all of us here are old enough to have been raised in times where women still couldn't do things that men could do, like business bank accounts, their own bank accounts, credit cards, where women were paid less, or you take time off to have kids and then you're worth less at work when you go back. All of us are within the age bracket, I'm assuming here, where this kind of thing has very much impacted us, or we've seen our mothers, grandmothers, aunts raised up in a world like that. And it takes the untangling of all of that for us to start to exude the kind of power that helps us feel comfortable around receiving money. And this is how we start to shift the energy. No, I did not give you a method today to go make $5,000 overnight. I don't think that's realistic. And if you did do that, I would have a fair bet that you would spend it and then you'd feel bad about spending it, because you have to change the energy first. And that is a long game thing. I've been self-employed for 10 years now. I don't know anybody in my family who was self-employed before. And I would be lying to you if I said that the financial roller coaster and lessons I've had to learn over and over again did not throw me for a loop a few times in the past 10 years. And though it's learning from them and standing in your power, believing in yourself, and rewriting those energetic patterns and stories that allows you to weather the storm, so that when you do have the opportunity to make the ask, you can ask for it. You can ask for the raise. You can ask for the promotion. You can ask for the more money on whatever it is that you're selling. You can ask for the whole new damn career, the whole new career you can ask for. Like, quit, go do something different. You can do that if you want to. All right, I'm going to show you the worksheet for today, and then I'm going to have to go for a walk after this. I'm like radiating energy over here. All right, if you've been to the class page for this event, this is a free event brought to you by our Holistic Witchery program, which we will tell you more about later this week or throughout the days. We do have our Conjuring Abundance unit starting in just a couple of weeks. We teach a Conjuring Abundance unit, a Holistic Witchery thought work, metaphysical ritual, all things witchy unit, and astrology fundamentals, all in one really cool program. But today we are mending our money stories. So this is the worksheet pack, if you have that. Let me explain it to you, and then you can kind of do it as we talk, or you can do it on your own after this. That's totally fine with me either way. Oh my gosh, I just realized I had so many more notes here. I could just talk about this forever. All right, so on your sheet here, what you see are the 3 lower chakras. Now, the one on the bottom, and I realize I don't think you can see my cursor on the screen. So the one on the bottom is the root, representative of the root. It's the symbol for the root chakra. The middle one is the sacral, and the top one is your solar plexus. It's okay if you mix them up. This is not graded. You're going to be fine. It's all good. It's all good here. So they do go bottom up. So the bottom again is the root. The middle is the sacral. The top is the solar plexus. And no perfectionism here at the Sisters Enchanted. What I want you to do is consider where you are in constriction in each of those. So where you're tightening up your energy around money and not feeling very abundant, and how you can shift that to expansion. Okay, so it's really that easy and also that complicated. Let me give you a few examples. I'm going to verbalize them. If it's too much, again, you can catch it on the replay for you. Some examples. In your root, which again is the bottom one here, for example, a constrictive thought here might be that you have to work hard for money. You have to work hard for money. That can be the constriction thought. The expansion thought, you can shift that to value creates money. Value. It's simple as that. Value creates money. Value can involve hard work or it could not involve hard work. Guess it just depends. But constriction, working hard is required to make money. Expansion, value creates money. Another example here for constriction, that the only way to handle money is to save and invest it. Like you must save, you must hold on tight. Expansion thought could be invest in life, invest in life. And so for you, maybe that does look like investing in, financial investments. And maybe sometimes that looks like going on the trip of your dreams and not having regrets when you're 92. I don't know. That's for you to decide. But if saving, like holding on tight, feels constrictive, what could be expansive? Another constriction statement here could be that there's never enough. And then an expansion idea could be that there's literally always infinite possibilities. 100% of the time, there are infinite possibilities. 100%. Another constriction here in the root could be, if I have plenty, I better not tell anybody. Don't ever talk about money. Don't let anybody know how much I have. That's a very constrictive thought. An expansive thought could be, we're all people. Everyone's people. Everyone has money. Why not talk about it? Like as if there's some people who don't. That's not a thing in their life. Oh my gosh, what planet do they live on? Okay, so constriction versus expansive in your root. And your root is very much like career. It is your childhood stories. So what's a constrictive story there and an expansive one? The sacral, that's the one in the middle. Some more examples for your sacral. Debt is bad. That's like the most clear example. Debt is bad. That's a very constrictive statement. Expansive could be debt is leverage. Debt is learning. Debt is a game. Debt is a game. It's leverage. It's learning. It's a game. So constrictive, debt is bad. Expansive, debt is leverage. Learning, a game. Another constrictive statement here. I saw this come by with poets and artists when we were talking about primarily female-driven careers where they make less money. A constrictive statement could be creation does not equal money. So like creating, the act of creating does not equal money. That's very constrictive. An expansive statement could be creation is endlessly valuable. Literally without creation, we would not have food. We would not have humans. We would not have art. We would not have ideas. Creation is endlessly valuable. Another one here, spending on yourself is frivolous. That could be a very constrictive one. Spending on yourself is frivolous. And then an expansive statement, spending on yourself can be liberating. It can feel so liberating to like provide for yourself, but not if you're feeling guilt and shame around it, right? So what's the constrictive? What's the expansive? And then our last one, the solar plexus, that would be on the top. This is your visibility center, remember? So how we literally like show up in a room. And so my example here for constrictive, I wrote down being loud is bad. Now I wrote that down very specifically because there's a lot of women who are told to be quieter, to be prim and proper, don't talk so much, don't be so chatty, just be quiet and polite and obliging. So if the constrictive is being loud is bad, the expansive could be like being loud, taking up space is just energy amplified. That's all that is energy amplified. Patty, our coach here at TSE, she's a great example of that. Always told she talked too much as a kid. Well, now she has a podcast and she's a life coach here for us. So talking is pretty much her job. Being loud is bad versus being loud is energy amplified. Another one, going first is not polite. Going first, it's not ladylike. It's not polite. I think about this in the bedroom too. Who needs to go first here? Not polite, not ladylike, not being of service, right? The expansive here could be going first sets the tone. If you're the first one to speak up, to claim something, you're setting the tone for everyone else. Why not set the tone for like a higher energy by going first? And then my last one for the solar plexus, a constrictive thought, power is evil. And you can exchange that money, power, but power is evil. An expansive thought could be power is leadership. How do you want to show up as a leader in this world and show people what good power can do? How much good you can do when you are a powerful person with a heart of gold. You can do so much good. So the constriction there, power is evil, money is evil. The expansive would be power is leadership or money is leadership, and what good you can do with it. My goal here for you, again, is not to memorize the chakras, but for you to start to shift your thoughts, start to recognize things you might not have recognized before, and to really light it within you, the incongruence between how we feel about the word abundance and how we feel about the word money. And to display for you how the energetic part has to happen first within your body. If you are not shifting your energy and these stories that you've told yourself about what's good, what's bad, what's true, what's shameful, what you should feel guilty about, if we do not change those, nothing else you do to have more money in this lifetime will work for you long term. Bottom line, it won't. Hard truth, it just will not. You will always find yourself having to relearn a money story if you do not address the energy. Gosh, YouTube. Every time I go to stop sharing, I almost end the stream. All right. So today we ran through the 3 lower energy centers. I hopefully lit them ablaze with the possibility of shifting your stories energetically to mend the gap, the tear between how you feel about money and how you feel about abundance. Because money bleeds into every area of your life. You want a better relationship, you need to feel better about money. I did not say, notice you need to have more money. I said you need to feel better about money. You want to feel better in your body, you need to feel better about money. You want to feel better at your job so you can get a raise and a promotion and whatever, you need to feel better about money. You need to feel abundant, and you need to feel light. You need to feel like you have power over it. You need to feel like you have power over yourself, your voice, what you're worthy of receiving. And that starts in your 3 lower energy centers. It starts right there. And of course, if you love what we're doing here and want to hang out long time beyond this, we do have a holistic witchery program. We will teach you all the metaphysics, working with the moon, creating a beautiful, delightful, empowering ritual, reading tarot. We can teach you all that. But we're also going to teach you how to shift your energy so that you can rock this one precious life that you have. Because newsflash, even if you believe in reincarnation and you believe that this is just one of your many lives, right now in this body that you have, this is your one precious life. You will not get another one. And I do not want to see you. If there's anything I can do to keep you from having regrets later in life, let's do it now. Let me help you with that. That I can help you with. You got to have your own back, but I got it if you have yours too. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the heart energy center. On Wednesday, we're going to talk about the 3 higher energy centers, your throat, your third eye, your crown, and the collective energy. And then on Thursday, I'm going to be joined by Kelly Soroka, who is my co-teacher in holistic witchery. She teaches across all 3 units. She's going to join me, and we are going to do a lovely ritual with all of y'all. We're going to release the supply list for you on Wednesday. It is things that you'll already have on hand or you can get from your backyard. So you don't need to go buying anything special. It'll be easy peasy lemon squeezy, but we're going to get that to you on Wednesday. All right. And so that is it for me today. Thank you so much for being here with me. I appreciate it. Remember, you can check out the class delivery page. We've got tons of YouTube videos and podcast episodes there for you. We've got the worksheets over there. And in the community area here, we'll be sure to post up a place in just a little bit. I'm going to go take a little break, and then I'll post up if you want to share any reflections or ask any questions in our community space. I'll get that up in before too long, and the replay will be available for you also. All right. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for leading with kindness. Thank you for being part of our Sisters Enchanted family. And yeah, I will see you all tomorrow. Go marinate, go receive something, go receive something. And don't get mad if someone won't give it to you. Go find another way to receive it. That's on you. Go receive it. All right. I'll see you tomorrow.